Welcome back to another video from the Ammonvale Gospel Hall. In this video we're going to look at the wizards in Lord of the Rings and see if we can learn from them.
Are there any?
What?
Are there wizards?
There are 5 of us. The greatest of our order is Saruman, the white. Then there are the 2 blue wizards. You know, I've quite forgotten their names.
And who is the 5th?
Well, that would be Radagast, the brown.
Is he a great wizard, or is he more like you?
5 wizards, 4 colours: brown, blue, grey and white. Although Saruman the White was the head of the White Order, the colours were no denotation of rank, as though blue were more senior to brown. When Gandalf the Grey became Gandalf the White, it was not that he'd been given a promotion, like I went from being sapper to lance corporal.
Gandalf the Grey. That was my name. Gandalf. I am Gandalf the White.
In actual fact, I'm going to suggest in this video that the colours were not rewards, but rather roles with a warning. Ways in which evil might be fought against, but with a risk that means of fighting can go wrong. The wizards had each their own way to oppose evil, but each had their own way to fail, their own temptation, their own way of weakness. Saruman, he had authority. He thought he could command the races of Middle-earth and thus defeat Sauron.
Saruman believes that it is only a great power that can hold evil in check. But that is not what I have found.
Radagast withdrew from the world. He believed that, like a tree could weather the storm, he could outlast evil by simply avoiding the fight. The 2 blue wizards have conflicting accounts given for their history by Tolkien, and each could apply to our theory. Gandalf the Grey, of course, is the wizard who has to walk the hardest path, to guide without commanding, to inspire without ruling over others, to fight evil without becoming that which he fought against. The story of the Astari is not that they failed those who had sent them to Middle-earth, but rather that they failed in the way they were warned not to. In the world of Middle-earth that J.R.R Tolkien imagined, there were a number of, for want of a better word, deities. There was the one creator, Eru Ilúvatar, from whom all life comes. Under him there was the Valar. These are the great angelic beings of Middle-earth. Finally, there are the Maiar. These were far more numerous than the 15 Valar whom they serve. Sauron, the great evil in the Lord of the Rings books, was a Maiar. He had sided with Morgoth, a fallen Valar. The 5 wizards volunteered to be sent to Middle-earth, stripped of much of their power in an attempt to guide the people of Middle-earth to fight the evil which now affected the world. The wizards, also known as the Astari, were not sent to fight directly against Sauron, but rather to guide the mortals to do so.
Hail Denethor, son of Exelion, Lord and Steward of Gondor. I come with tidings in this dark hour, and with counsel.
Angelic beings though they were, they had not their whole power as Maiar. They were clothed in the bodies of old men. but the same physical weaknesses of man: hunger, hurt, weariness, not to mention the ability to fail in character fault. They can be killed. It is key to note that they were not supposed to dominate. They were supposed to be advisors. They were to encourage the free peoples of Middle-earth, to unite them against the growing shadow. They were not to replace one Dark Lord with another.
In place of a Dark Lord, you would have a queen! Not dark, but beautiful and terrible as the dawn! Treacherous as the sea! Stronger than the foundations of the earth! All shall love me and despair!
This is where I can look at the colours of the wizards. Each was sent to oppose the same problem: evil, but from a different philosophical perspective. It was their responsibility to fight the Dark Lord without themselves becoming a Dark Lord. The colours were representative of their identity. They speak of the way they were to combat evil, and they were to speak of the potential failure of that way of fighting evil: authority, withdrawal, or humility. Tolkien was testing ideas in Lord of the Rings. How can good conquer evil and not become evil in the process? When we look at the wizards, we see what happens when those methods of fighting evil meet pride, fear, the limits of mortal endurance, and failing to remember why we are here and why we have the limitations that we do. Surely when we look at Saruman the White, we see the wizard who faced the biggest temptation. White speaking in this situation of authority, of leadership, of order, of the idea that the world would be good if only the right mind were at the helm. Saruman was the head of the White Council, the most learned of all the wizards, and the wizard that even the other wizards deferred to.
Smoke rises from the mountain of doom. The hour grows late, and Gandalf the Grey rides to Isengard, seeking my counsel. For that is why you have come, is it not? My old friend.
Saruman.
But it was exactly for that reason that Saruman fell. You see, Saruman the White believed that he knew better than everyone else, that he should have control, because he was the one that had the right answers.
Tell us what the woodsmen say.
They speak of a necromancer living in Dol Guldur, a sorcerer who can summon the dead.
That's absurd. No such power exists in this world. This necromancer is nothing more than a mortal man, a conjurer dabbling in black magic.
Saruman liked control. He liked organization, resources, power, and strength, all united behind a single will: his will. In an attempt to defeat Sauron, Saruman adopted the same mindset as Sauron. He became that which he was sent to fight.
The power of Isengard is at your command, Sauron, Lord of the Earth.
Build me a army worthy of Mordor.
Saruman studied ring lore, not in an attempt to destroy it, but with a desire to master it. When Gandalf challenges Saruman, he reveals the truth. that he had corrupted his colour. He had taken the white, which you all know is actually all colours together, and he'd broken them apart. When white is broken, it does not become brighter, it fractures. Saruman of many colours, he describes himself. He is not enlightened, but rather he is corrupted, having left his purpose behind and is treading the path of evil. He had been given the task from the Valar, but abandoned it. He now served order without wisdom, power without humility, authority without restraint. What Tolkien is warning us of here is that evil cannot be conquered by domination, for domination is itself evil. What some may claim to be order is just domination in disguise. White was not supposed to rule the world. It was a temptation that Saruman fell into, to his own and many others' destruction. How can we learn from this principle as Christians? Well, in the church, we do have those who have been given authority. But if we were to read 1 Peter chapter 5, we would see what a Christian leader should do with the authority they've been given. So I exhort the elders among you, as a fellow elder, and a witness of the sufferings of Christ, as well as a partaker in the glory that is to be revealed, shepherd the flock of God which is among you, exercising oversight, not under compulsion, but willingly, as God would have you, not for shameful gain, but eagerly, not domineering over those in your charge, but by being examples to the flock. Peter, as an apostle and as an elder, had some authority in the church. But note that he was not expected to domineer. There are some translations that would render this, do not lord it over them. The church leadership should not be telling people what to do, but rather they should be leading by example. That is a high standard they are to live up to. The Bible specifically says that they should not be inexperienced, as they're likely to become puffed up. Grey, it speaks of humility. Not towers, not commands to be given, but rather almost endless travel. Cold nights and dusty roads. Danger in the wild. Mistrust in the town. And no glory from people to make it seem worthwhile. While Saruman was in a tower, ruling over people, Gandalf was to walk amongst them, to be overlooked, but to be close to individuals. Gandalf listened more than he talked. He learned the names of hobbits and barmen.
That was good. Let's get another one.
Meriadoc Brandybuck and Peregrine Took. I might have known.
We're friends of Gandalf the Grey. Can you tell him we've arrived?
Gandalf? Gandalf? Oh, yes, I remember. Elderly chap. Big grey beard, pointy hat. Not seen him for 6 months.
He told tales by firelight. He blew smoke rings. Grey is not weakness, but restraint. Gandalf, when Frodo offers him the ring, does not refuse it because of a lack of ambition, but rather because he understood what holding authority would do to him.
Take it, Gandalf. Take it.
No, Frodo.
You must take it.
You cannot offer me this ring.
I'm giving it to you.
Don't tempt me, Frodo. I dare not take it. Not even to keep it safe. Understand, Frodo. I would use this ring from a desire to do good.
Gandalf does not coerce, he does not dominate those around him. He gives them a little nudge out the door.
If you're referring to the incident with the dragon, I was barely involved. All I did was give your uncle a little nudge out of the door.
Whatever you did, you've been officially labeled a disturber of the peace.
He encourages others and trusts them to make the right decision. This is why Gandalf is the hero of the story and not Saruman. He accepts the limitations placed on him. He accepts the doubt. And most importantly, he accepts that the victory does not belong to him. It belongs to others. When Gandalf returns as Gandalf the White, it is not that he is promoted, but rather he has the honour as he has shown that he can bear the great burden of authority without failing as Saruman did. Gandalf does not seize power from Saruman, but rather is given it so that he can continue the work he began in his humility. Gandalf passed the test, and so was given a greater responsibility. We can see this principle in the Bible as well. In Matthew chapter 25, verses 14 to 28, Jesus is speaking and says, "For it will be like a man going on a journey, who called his servants and entrusted to them his property. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, each according to his ability. Then he went away. He who had received the 5 talents went at once and traded with them, and he made 5 talents more. So also he who had the 2 talents made 2 talents more. But he who had received the 1 talent went and dug in the ground and hid his master's money. Now after a long time the master of those servants came and settled accounts with them. And he who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing 5 more, saying, 'Master, you delivered to me 5 talents. Here I have made 5 talents more.' His master said to him, 'Well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master.' And he also, who had the 2 talents, came forward, saying, 'Master, you delivered to me 2 talents. Here I have made 2 talents more.' His master said to him, 'Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master.' He also, who had received the 1 talent, came forward, saying, 'Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you scattered no seed. So I was afraid. And I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here you have what is yours.' But his master answered him, 'You wicked and slothful servant. You knew that I reap where I have not sown, and gather where I scattered no seed. Then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers, and at my coming I should have received what was my own with interest. So take the talent from him and give it to him who has the 10 talents. So we've been given a role by God, and talents, resources. God expects us to use what we have been given in his service. We can then turn our minds to Radagast the Brown. The Brown would speak to us of the earth, of mud and roots, of growing things, of things that live far from power towers. Radagast, of course, did love the world, but he loved it in too narrow a way. While Saruman sought power and Gandalf balance, Radagast sought to retreat away from the fight, to care for his own little part of the world, and to allow the rest to be destroyed. Radagast stopped his interactions with elves, men, and dwarves, and instead devoted himself to the forest, and the beasts that dwelled therein. Tolkien is more subtle here than with Saruman. One betrayed the mission that they were sent to fulfill. Radagast did not betray it, but he did not seek to have it done. Though perhaps a lesser crime, it is a fault nonetheless. Radagast's temptation was not domination, but disengagement. To protect your peace and that which you love by avoiding the wider, more important fight. Caring for your corner of the world is not enough if the rest burns, as soon enough the fire will spread to your borders. Radagast undoubtedly cares for life, but he is unwilling to stand against that which will destroy all life. Goodness without action is not exactly evil, but it is insufficient. Radagast chose peace over responsibility, comfort over conflict. Love of a single aspect of existence is not so much an evil, but it is not going to fulfill the responsibility that it is there. It will not keep in check the evil. After all, evil succeeds when good men do nothing. Is stepping back a crime that we are guilty of? Are we happy to attend our church week after week, but not willing to speak to our friends, colleagues, and neighbours about the danger that they are in and the provision that God has made for them? Are we avoiding the difficulties of nurturing a new Christian? Are we trying to live so quiet a life that the devil does not come to try and challenge us? Are we so careful of that which we love that we are not willing to risk it in service of the King of Heaven? Do we think that the world knows where our church is? It is their responsibility to come and hear the preaching. Or are we like Paul, who is willing to take a beating if it meant that the gospel was going to be preached? Are we willing to preach from prison if God asks us to? Are we willing to cross the street, let alone oceans, in an attempt to see souls saved? In Matthew chapter 5, verses 13 to 16, Jesus is speaking and says this: "You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt has lost its taste, how shall its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything, except to be thrown out and trampled under people's feet. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven." So we ought not to be like Radagast and hide away from the world, to shut ourselves away from people, from risk, from the problems of the world. The blue wizards are the last that we shall look at. Eastward they went and never returned. These two are the wizards who we know least about, as Tolkien gave two answers to the question of the two blueses. We know they were sent east and south, to the lands where Sauron's influence was greatest. Tolkien gives us two different answers to what happened to the blue wizards. In some of his writings, Tolkien says that they, like Saruman and Radagast, failed. They built cults to their own purposes. They seek to build power in secret plans. In other writings, though, the two wizards succeed in undermining Sauron's plans and influence. They weaken his grip in the east and stop whole nations from marching to war against the free people of Middle-earth. The blue wizards represent an important concept, I think, that not all victories or all failures are visible. Not all good deeds are recorded in the history books. Not every failure makes it into the news. Not every powerful deed that is done in the spotlight. The prayer on bended knee in the closet is as valuable a service as the preacher on the platform. We might never know this side of death how close we came to failure but for the actions of someone we have never met, or what link in a chain we ourselves will be in the story of some sinner on the path to Christ. So the role of this starry were approached from different angles. White sought control, brown sought preservation, blue found obscurity, grey humbly sought to guide, not to dominate, not to coerce, not to place himself above or before others. The wizards who failed did not do so because they were weak, but rather because wisdom without humility is just another form of domination. The fight against evil is not just about strength, but rather how that strength is used. Thanks for watching.
I will go. No.
They must be warned.
They will be. You must come to Minas Tirith by another road. Follow the river. Look to the black ships. Understand this. Things are now in motion that cannot be undone. I ride for Minas Tirith. And I won't be going alone.